Alright guys, got another video for you today. Today's a little different. We're going back in time. A lot of you might remember when this YouTube channel started, it was called Boosted, of course. And the name changed as I got more into the overlanding stuff and the Nissan. But we're actually going back to the Honda stuff today. So, I know a lot of you are probably curious about the G23. There are some plans for that. I do still have the engine. That's not today's video. We're doing some baby steps, but it is kind of similar. Today we're doing a VTEC conversion on a D16Y7 engine. There's a lot of info online about this, and you can search around through a bunch of different forums and find little pieces, but I'm going to try and give you a full summary of what the changes are that you have to do. I didn't take the time to do a full build on this, mostly just because I'm still learning myself, but I do have a good amount of the info together, so hopefully if you want to do this on your Y7, this video should give you all the info you need to do it. So we'll go ahead and get started here, and I'll show you some of the things you need to do. Alright, so no surprise, you're going to need a Y8 head or a Z6 head to do your conversion here. So I've actually got a few of both. I ended up using a Y8 head. The Z6 heads are a little beefier, and supposedly they rev higher, and it's the stronger of the two. So if you're gonna pick one and you have access to a Z6, I'd go with that. But I got plans for my other Z6s. So this build, we're just keeping it stock, messing around. So that's why I went with the Y8. I plan on learning how to tune with these engines, so I didn't want to blow up my Z6. So what you're looking at here, this is a Y8 head. I went through and lapped the valves, did new valve seals, got it all cleaned up, and we got all new gaskets on this thing. Actually still have the Y7 fuel system on it. I'm not sure if that's going to give us enough duty. I know these injectors are a little smaller. I do have upgraded injectors for some turbo plans in the near future, and we are going to be running this on a Honda, so that's why I kind of have the flexibility of swapping different things around. If you are going to be running a Y8 ECU, I believe it's PO6, I'll correct myself in the video if I'm wrong, but if you're running the VTEC ECU, you're going to have to match everything, and there's a few extra steps you're going to have to do that I won't be doing on these. So I'll go over first what my plans are to make all this work, and then I'll go over the additional items you'll have to do if you plan on using an OEM ECU. So probably the main thing is this guy right here. So this is the idle air control valve, and this is on the back of the intake manifold. So if you're running a manual, which God, I hope you are if you're doing all this work, you're gonna need a different intake manifold, and that's just the easiest way to get what they call a 2-wire idle air control valve. So this manifold I pulled from the junkyard. It's off a 2000 Civic EX 5-speed car. The autos do not have the same one. I know it's kind of weird, but the autos don't have that. So if you go to the junkyard or if you're looking online, a Y8 intake manifold isn't enough. You need to make sure it's a manual Y8 intake manifold. Go ahead and cut that pigtail off, and you'll want to take that with you so you can convert this. I'll show you the wiring for these later. Basically, the factory, or I should say the Y7 idle air control valve, which I've got over here. It's this guy right here. So this is the non-VTEC, or well, really OBD2 idle air control valve, and you could see in there I don't have the connector on it. We're going to go convert it here in a little bit, but this is a 3-wire idle air control valve. So this is not going to be compatible with your OBD1 ECU. So that's one thing you got to do in order to get this thing running right. You're going to have to swap that over. Also, another advantage, obviously you can see just by the construction of this intake manifold, there's a lot better flow with the Y8 one. So it's a good swap to do anyway. The whole point of doing this is to gain, you know, 20 horsepower, 25 horsepower. So you don't want to choke it up with the smaller throttle body and the smaller intake manifold. EGR stuff, I'm not going to be going into that. If you are planning on keeping the stock ECU, this is another thing you're going to have to retain and you know, plumb into the ECU, because I believe the Y8s also have the oh sorry, I might have said EGR, evap systems on these. Another thing, and this is something you don't see a lot of people talk about online, is the coolant lines. So I'll probably have to show you when we go look at the block. But the coolant lines for the idle air control valve are slightly different. So there's a line that goes on the Y8 block. Right about here is where the water pipe sits that comes off the water pump, and there's a nipple here for you to run up to your idle air control valve. Well, on the Y7, the nipple is about halfway down here, so it's not a big deal. You just got to run a longer hose, or you can swap the water pipe. I went with the longer hose, and then it's going to run through your idle air control valve. And these are coolant lines, keep that in mind, not vacuum lines. And you're going to run that coolant line up through here, down into the throttle body, and that keeps it from freezing when it gets cold, so you don't get a sticky throttle. And then out of the throttle body, and then it, into this water neck nipple there. So, or I shouldn't say water neck, that's the feed for the head. So anyways, that's how you're going to get flow through that whole system there. So the other thing, obviously, we got to wire up some VTEC. So this little magic wire is the whole reason we're doing all this. One little thing to note too, if you go to the I believe it's Honda Texas Speed channel, I'll put a link in the description, but he's got a really cool video actually, and he shows you how to run the, I wouldn't say VTEC, but to run the larger cam on this on your Y7 head. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to do a head gasket swap or anything. You don't get the actual VTEC engagement, but you do get the benefits of the larger camshaft with a lot less work. So that's kind of a cool way to do it, and kudos to him for figuring that one out. But I'll let you guys go watch his video if you're interested in that method. But we are doing the whole head swap. So we've got the VTEC solenoid here, which is just one wire, and my plan is to actually use the extra wire left over from our idle air control valve and then repin it on the ECU side, so I don't have to run anything through the firewall. So see how that works. And then you'll notice down here we got this green plug. This is your VTEC pressure sensor. So for you guys that are running the stock ECU option, if you don't have a Honda or something, you're gonna have to run this to the ECU as well. And you're also gonna have to run a knock sensor, or the ECU is gonna trip out. So that's just something to keep in mind. There's a few little extra things you gotta worry about if you're not running a Honda, or I should say some sort of tuning software. So not that it's a big deal, but you will be running an extra wire, 2 wires, I believe. Yeah, it should be 2, so switch basically. So if this isn't hooked up and you're on a stock ECU, it's not going to allow VTEC to activate. So keep that in mind. I believe the knock sensor is also going to put you in limp mode for that. So so yeah, I'll show you a few more once we get this mounted on, but those are the main things that I just didn't really see online. Like I said, you can find them, but it's all not really in one source. So hopefully this helps you guys and gets you running that VTEC, bro. All right, so I think I got this figured out. So I got this going on my VTEC wire. Like I said, we're gonna repin this orange wire on the ECU side for our VTEC. And then I've got, I think this is right, but I'm not sure. We got blue, yellow going to black and blue, and yellow, black going to yellow, black. That just, if I was an engineer, that's how I would do it. So let's hope that they were making sense and that should work. So left myself a bunch of slack so we can get these plugged in and we'll get this all taped up, and we'll find out here shortly if we got the wiring right. The head on here, just did the head gasket. It's all looking good, and just wanted to show you how our little conversions went that we prepped for. So we got that PCV hose right here coming up through there. That's looking good. So I guess we're going to stick this on. I think it's the bottom one. And so that one's good. All our injectors ended up reaching just fine. And so that's good. Let's see what else we got. We got our IACV one here, which is going to sneak under here. Sorry, bear with me. Under, and this plug is here. Anyways, I think you get the gist. It's going to reach just fine. And then we got our VTEC wire here. We snake that under here. That's going to reach just fine. Get this plugged in. VTEC's good. And so the only thing I did notice, we got the TPS, or sorry, map sensor up here. And make sure you don't get these mixed up. Common Honda thing. It's D1. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, this is red and green is going to be your map. So you can see that green there. So that's going to be our map sensor, and then the one with the red and black right here is going to be the TPS, and you can see that one's a little short. So we will have to extend the TPS to get it wrapped around the back of the throttle body there. And I think everything else is going to plug in fine. This is that one for the evap, which we're not using. And yeah, everything else looks good. Oh, one more thing. We got our extended coolant hose here. Somewhere. Oh, here it is, hanging out right here. So that one's going to be close, but I think it's just going to make it to the back there. So check back in after I get this all together. I'm not going to go through everything. There's plenty of videos on how to do a timing belt on these. Eric, the car guy's got a great one on how to do the timing belt, and plenty of videos on head gasket, but I thought this video might help you guys that are doing the Y8 head conversion. So like I said, get this done, everything else be plug and play. I'm gonna extend these and then repin the wire that we're using for the VTEC on the ECU side. So alright guys, we're ready to do the wiring on the inside here. So if you guys remember, we're using that orange wire for our VTEC now since it's unused. So that is our plan. We're going to try and use this as the VTEC. So we've got it all wired up on the engine side. So now we're in the car here. So got this diagram here. You can see on the OBD2 ECUs, we got the 3 wires here for our idle air control valve. Pin 12, 13, and 14 on the OBD2 connector. Don't get confused. So 13 is not being used anymore, so we have that wired up on VTEC. So now we just have to get this into our P28. So if we take a look here on the OBD2 connector, you can see that orange wire A13. Oops, sorry. So orange wire here, A13 is pin 2 on the second row, which matches up with this. So I think we got the right one. So if we look here on a conversion harness, pin 2. Show you this here. You can see there it goes to nothing. So that kind of confirms it right there, that is our wire. So what we need to do now is get it onto the VTEC side of this. So if we look at so we need to get it into the VTEC on the P28 side. So if we look here, this is a P28 diagram. And if we look here, VTS, which is our VTEC signal wire, I'm guessing that's what that stands for. So that's A4 on the A connector. So A connector still, and that is A4. So if we track that back, it's going to be pin 2 bottom row, which is this is this wire. If we track that back on our conversion harness here, should go. So it's the 4th pin over here on the VTEC conversion harness. So if we check that on our OBD2, pin 4, and as you can see, that is going to nothing. So we got a few different options. We can unpin that and pin it here. I'm not sure if I want to mess with this connector. I've seen some guys unclip these, but I don't see how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to try and do it on this side. Obviously you could just cut this wire and crimp it, but I'm going to try and keep it plug and play here. So let's see, I'm going to try and get this pin 4 out, move it over to pin 2 on this side, and we should be good. Alright guys, here it is all finished up. Started up, no check engine light. So everything's working good. Able to control the idler control valve through the HON data. So everything's working. Still haven't tested the VTEC yet. The alternator is overcharging, so I'll have to get that fixed and then do some street driving before we can activate the VTEC. But I see no reason why it wouldn't work, and yeah, so hope this video helps you guys out. If you got any questions on your Y8 head swap, leave a comment below. See if I can help you out, and thanks for watching.